Welcome back. Taking a full look at weather now. Weather Authority Chief Meteorologist Dan Cianca. I've been walking around wrapped in a blanket this evening.
It is not.
So
it's not warm. Yeah, we had a pretty cool day today. Most locations saw highs in the 50s, and it's not going to get any warmer anytime soon. So if you're thinking, boy, I need to get out there and update my wardrobe for winter season, you're not going to regret it at all this week. Let's just put it that way. Live look from DOMENICO'S on the WHARF showing pretty tranquil conditions out there tonight. Beginning of the show, we showed you that the winds have shifted to the south, and we've started to add a few clouds into the forecast. And as a result, temperatures are actually a little bit warmer right now than they were this time last night, but it is not warm necessarily. Right now, it's only 40 degrees in Watsonville with low 40s elsewhere around the bay. Some of the areas that are more notably warmer would be in our southern valleys, like in the 40s, where we were already in the low 30s at this time last night. So those southerly winds do make a difference, as do the clouds that have been moving through the region. And temperatures are just going to kind of level off overnight as the wind and clouds kind of hang around for us. Now, it's not windy at all. It's barely even breezy out there, but it's just kind of that flow from the south that is a little warmer than you would get if you had calm winds, for example, and allowing the cold air to filter down into the valleys and pool up, or a crisp northwesterly wind, which kind of keeps things chilly as well. Let's take a look at your bigger picture, and what I've got for you here is a cold front stretching from Montana through Oregon and into northwestern California. This does extend offshore. Behind it, quite a bit of cold air packed in. And this is the storm system. This is the cold front that's going to be coming in. Now, it is interacting with some moisture streaming up from a subtropical low sitting off of the west coast, and that's going to juice it up a bit as we head into the day tomorrow. And it's actually going to give this cold front a bit of a wallop. So let's take you through it hour by hour through the overnight hours. We'll talk about when it's going to start raining, when it's going to be the heaviest, when it'll hit your neighborhood, and whether you should be worried at all. Well, let's just go through it right now. Here's a look at FUTURECAST. Increasing clouds overnight, increasing southerly winds. As we head to around 2 a.m., we start to see a little green showing up. So what the model's showing you right here is the southerly winds. They're becoming more moist, and as that happens, they get pushed up the hillside, and as they get pushed up the hillside, that air mass begins to cool, and as it cools, it can't hold as much moisture, and some of it starts to precipitate out. So we start to see what we call these upslope rain events with some light drizzle essentially beginning in the Santa Cruz Mountains by 2 a.m. If you are an early bird commuter, you'll probably be okay tomorrow. You might see a wet patch here or there, have to swish the windshield wipers here or there, but probably not too bad. The later you commute tomorrow, the more likely it is that you are to experience rain. And of course, the farther north you go, the earlier you go, the better. Again, we'll have rain moving its way in. So this is 4 a.m. We're starting to see those southerly winds, maybe 10, 20 miles per hour, nothing extreme. We get to 6, 7 a.m. We start to see the rain filling in around the bay. Now, what you can expect here is mostly light precipitation still at 7 a.m. So wet roads, especially across Santa Cruz County. But because of the wind direction, our interior valley is probably not going to see much at all early tomorrow morning. Salinas is going to be pretty dry. Hollister, most of the Salinas Valley, and even to some extent Monterey, which gets downsloped with southerly winds, probably won't see much precipitation. Santa Cruz County by 7 a.m., you're going to be wet and maybe a little bit on the windy side. We'll also see some winds picking up along the Monterey Peninsula and out to around Point Sur, getting a little bit stronger as we head toward late morning. The actual cold front looks like it's going to move through between around 9 a.m. and noon tomorrow. Along this cold front, we will see the gustiest winds, which could be 20, 30 miles per hour, perhaps gusting up to 40 miles per hour at max, which could obviously knock down a few tree branches, maybe a couple of trees here and there across the viewing area. I'm not expecting widespread wind damage. Areas that are more likely to see wind will be, again, coastal Monterey County and western Santa Cruz County. We're not going to see a lot inland. It might be breezy at times, but the bigger chance of any issues will be closer to the coast. Also along this cold front, periodic, or I should say brief heavy rain likely as it passes through. It's not going to last long, but it could be heavy, which means it could decrease the visibility. It could stress out the burn scars a little bit, some of the drainages there, and you could end up with some minor debris flow. So that's, again, what we're watching. If you're driving late morning, you could see ponding on the roadways as this comes through as well. Now, we head to lunchtime. You see that the cold front's already passing Salinas, moving into southern Monterey County. By 3 p.m., we're seeing clearing from northwest to southeast across the bay. So we will see this go through pretty quickly tomorrow. The biggest time frame for folks living around the bay will be 9 a.m. to noon. If you live farther to the south, it's going to be more like noon to 2 2 p.m. across southern Monterey and San Benito counties, and it's out of here. So nothing to be too scared of, but it could cause a few power outages. There could be some minor wind damage, and there could be ponding on the roadways. And we mentioned that potential for some debris flows. Beyond that, tomorrow, the rest of the day is going to be kind of cool and breezy, but the winds will also die down, and we're going to be in for another cold night tomorrow night. Total precipitation with this system, probably 1 to 2 inches in our coastal ranges, the Santa Cruz Mountains and the San Lucia Range. Cities around the Bay, I think, will pick up between 1/4 of an inch, which I think is closer to places like Salinas, maybe a little bit higher on the north side of the Bay, closing in on an inch in places like Watsonville and Santa Cruz. Looking at your temperatures tomorrow, as I mentioned, it's going to be chilly, so we'll just go through these pretty quickly here. 54 your high in Santa Cruz. That's all we're going to get to tomorrow. 40s in the higher elevations of the Santa Cruz Mountains. We'll see a high temperature of 54 in Watsonville, mid-50s in Salinas, perhaps getting into the upper 50s in Hollister. But again, these temperatures rather are cool for this time of year. Over to the peninsula, highs mostly in the low to mid-50s tomorrow. Maybe a little bit warmer in Monterey and Seaside because you'll have those southerly winds, which can cause some downslope warming. And that's going to be early in the day. And then down south, just more 50s. So just a chilly day across the region tomorrow. Now, I mentioned after that cold air settles in, it's going to be a chilly night tomorrow night into Friday morning with patchy frost possible all the way up to the coast with a clear start to the day. Then clouds will increase ahead of our next weather system, which is likely to bring some wind and rain to the region on Saturday. Timing of that one's a little tough right now. We're really going to have to see what happens with this first system before we'll have a good idea what to expect with the secondary system. Either way, it looks like showers could last into Sunday and Monday, although I don't expect things to be heavy at that point. However, it's going to be cold, so the snow levels will be lower, so we might see some snow up in the mountains as well. Inland areas, very similar story. A very cold morning on Friday with lots of frost likely for our inland valleys. Rain returns Saturday with showers lingering into Sunday and Monday. Lots to watch out for, guys. We'll be keeping a close on it.